Welcome to this training module. Main learning objectives. The main objective of this training module is to increase the operator's knowledge of Ulstein-Bergen diesel engine generator sets in order to ensure safe and efficient running of the engines, minimized risk of damage and breakdowns of machinery, This module contains the following subjects: general information, hazards and safety precautions in general, systems, inspection and maintenance, operation and surveillance. Select a subject by clicking the corresponding button. General information. Learning objectives. The objectives of this section are to make operational personnel acquainted with engine type designation, technical data, There are 4 special graphics which should be clicked whenever you see them during this module. Click them now. Points of importance regarding operation and maintenance. This is used as an indication of danger for life, health, or extensive damages to engine and other equipment. Is used to point out specifically important details or variations that should be noticed. The following documentation is delivered with Ulstein-Bergen engines. Operating Manual describes the day-to-day operation and maintenance of the engine. Service Manual contains technical specifications and descriptions of extensive maintenance work. Sundry Instructions contains the documentation from our subcontractors. Electronic interactive documentation. All intervals for maintenance given are meant as a guidance only and depends upon the operating conditions. The flywheel end of the engine is where the flywheel is fitted. The opposite end is called the free end or the pump end. The manoeuvre side of the engine is the longitudinal side where the control panel is fitted. This is the same side as the fuel oil injection pumps are located. The opposite side is called the exhaust side. The designation of the cylinders on Ulstein-Bergen engines begins from the pump end. The cylinder closest to the pump end will be number 1, and then the numbers will increase towards the flywheel end. The direction of rotation of the Ulstein-Bergen engines is per definition as seen from the flywheel end. All standard inline engines from Ulstein-Bergen are rotating anti-clockwise. You have now completed this section. To start a new lesson, go to the menu. Hazards and safety precautions. Learning objectives. The main purpose of this section is to give all operating personnel a basic understanding of the importance of taking necessary safety precautions and to be aware of potential hazards when operating the auxiliary engines. Hazards. The diesel engines are designed to minimise the risk of accidents. Accidents may nonetheless occur, for instance, due to negligence. The information displayed into the red triangles represent the minimum level of knowledge about hazard and safety precautions operators of diesel engines should acquire. However, there are some basic rules that should be noticed. Fire hazards. A fire can be started when sparks get in contact with flammable materials during welding, etc. The operator should always be aware of the risks involved in such work. To keep the risk at a minimum, always keep the engine room in a clean and orderly fashion. Remember to close oil tanks and remove oil spills. Electrical hazards. An electrical shock from a high voltage system may be lethal. But even shocks from medium or low voltage systems may cause burns or loss of consciousness. This may cause injuries due to a resulting fall or dropping of tools or other equipment. Thermal hazards. Always be aware of what parts of the engine you touch when working on or by the engine. Noise hazards. Noise is usually defined as unwanted sound. Around a running diesel engine, there will always be a certain noise level which can be disturbing, or, at worst, damaging. Necessary protective measures will vary from ship to ship. Engine operators and anyone entering the engine room while the engine is running should protect their hearing with the means available. You have now completed this section. To start a new lesson, go to the menu. Systems. Learning objectives. The main purpose of this section is to give all operating personnel a basic understanding of the engine's most essential functions, how the systems work, To ensure that all operating personnel are able to locate, recognise and identify all essential components within the systems, execute the daily, weekly and monthly inspections and maintenance routines. Main lubricating oil system. Thermal hazard. During operation or just after the engine has been stopped, most of the engine will be hot. Touching the engine parts may cause burns. In this system, be especially aware of the following parts. Lubricating oil pipes may get up to 70 degrees Celsius. Lubricating oil hazards. There will always be a certain health risk concerning handling of lubricating oil. Inhaling fumes over prolonged time or swallowing will lead to intoxication. Lubricating oil in eyes or on sensitive skin will be irritating. For specific hazards and countermeasures applying to lubricating oil, always read the producer's information on the containers and data sheets. The oil level in a running engine should always be between the maximum and minimum levels on the dipstick. Try to keep the oil level as close to maximum as possible. The level in the oil sump should be measured manually every day. In addition to the electronic measurements of temperatures and pressures in the lubricating oil system, all thermometers and manometers should be checked and recorded manually once a day. It is recommended that samples of the lubricating oil are regularly sent to the oil manufacturer for analysis. From the information gained from these samples, it will be possible to determine suitable intervals between oil changes. The intervals between oil analysis, therefore, should be decided after consulting the oil manufacturer. When taking oil samples, it should be taken into consideration that the lubricating oil from the engine is hot. It is of great importance to show cleanliness when changing the lube oil. Arrange the text in the correct order. Wrong. You have no more tries. We will show you the answer. Click the components for further information. The priming pump is an electrically driven pump of the gear type. It starts upon the engine's stop signal and is used to circulate oil in the system during periods when the engine is not running. The pump may be turned off during periods of longer standstill. When the engine has not been operating for several days, the priming pump must be started at least 1 hour before engine startup. Put the text in the correct position. Wrong. You have no more tries. We will show you the answer. The oil is accelerated to high speed and is then thrown against the inner walls of the rotor, where particles heavier than the oil will fasten to a compact mass. The rotor has a removable bowl to facilitate easy cleaning or replacement and is lined with a paper insert for easy cleaning. The cleaned oil leaves the rotor through the screen and enters the drive chamber. The oil is expelled through twin jets which spin the rotor and is finally leaving the filter flowing to the oil sump. The centrifugal filters should be cleaned at least once a month, dependent on operational conditions. Once a week, the centrifugal filters should be checked for excessive vibrations. The operator must feel on the outside of the filter housing, and if the conditions of a filter has changed during the past week, all the centrifugal filters should be dismantled and cleaned. The oil sludge level on the rotor wall should not be allowed to increase over 15 mm, and it must never create an out of balance condition in the rotor. The filter may be cleaned while the engine is running. To avoid interchanging of internal filter parts, never dismantle more than one centrifugal filter at a time. Close the valve leading oil to the centrifugal filter. Drain the filter for 1 hour before dismantling it. Slacken the safety clamp. Unscrew cover nut. Lift off cover. Allow the oil to drain from the nozzles. Lift off the rotor assembly with extreme care to make sure that the bearings will not be damaged. Unscrew the rotor cover nut and separate the rotor cover from body. Remove standpipe and clean. Remove sludge from the inside of the rotor and clean thoroughly. Clean nozzles with brass wire. Renew O-ring if necessary. Arrange the text by numbering them in the correct sequence. Wrong. You have no more tries. We will show you the answer. It It is important to ensure that rotor cover and rotor body are always matched by balance reference number and pin location. Do not interchange rotor covers. Plate heat exchangers dissipate excessive heat from the oil. It is very important to inspect the oil cooler during the running-in period, due to lack of sufficient data of the cleaning process. When out of operation for a longer period, the heat exchanger should be emptied, opened and cleaned. The cleaning of the plates is important to restrict corrosion and to keep the heat transfer rate at maximum level. The plate heat exchanger should be inspected and cleaned at regular intervals. Intervals are dependent of operating conditions. Temperature difference of the oil before and after the cooler should be monitored every day. When monitored values divert from reference values, the oil cooler should be inspected and cleaned. The lube oil filter is of a duplex type. Normally, both filters are operating. Click the photo or the red text. During maintenance or in case of malfunction, one filter may be shut off by using the cock. This position will bypass the left filter. This position will bypass the right filter. Both filters are operating. If high viscosity, the pressure drop across the filter increases. The valves inside the filter will open and some oil will flow directly through the strainer. If this is not sufficient, the valve will open and send part of the oil unfiltered through the filter unit. Place the correct filter elements aside the unit before starting to dismantle. Clean and dry all parts thoroughly. Mount new filter elements. Place the text in the correct sequence. Wrong. You have no more tries. We will show you the answer. Fill up the new filter slowly before switching between them. The filter should be inspected at least once every 6 months, even if the alarm is not triggered.